I think everyone has joined now. And we're also on YouTube, so the stream has started. So.
Yeah. Do you hear me?
Now, yes. So the first time it was a bit very low, your voice.
Okay.
Now it's good. Maybe just briefly a quick announcement before Loppon Dorit starts. So if you need translation, please choose corresponding language. We have today Russian, Polish, Spanish, Hebrew, and German. To you, Loppon Dorit.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So before we start, I just want to say Happy New Year. We're just going through the new year today, so maybe this is a very good opportunity to start with the working with emotions in the mandala, taking some kind of a decision for the future, for the coming year, right? So thank you, everybody, for coming here and working on your emotions. And thank you for all the translators. They're doing a great job. Thank you so much. It wouldn't have been so kind to you, to help so many people around the world of working with that. So I want to start with the traditional refuge prayer. It's in Tibetan. If you know that, join me. If you don't, you can learn that. So I'll go with that. Sangye chudang tsuki chaknam la jangchu badu dakni keptu chi daki chinso kinpe sonam ki drola penchi sangye chupasho. Sangye chudang tsuki chaknam la jangchu badu dakni keptu chi daki chinso kimpe sonam ki drola penche sangye chupasho. Sangye chudang tsuki chaknam la jangchu badu dakni keptu chi daki chinso kimpe sonam ki drola penche sangye chupasho. So before we start, I just want to make a short announcement. I think you may have heard that Lamalina got back to the US, so we are about to resume the Zoom's meeting with her. If you haven't registered yet to her Zoom group, so please do that. Lela, if you can put the form for the links to the Zoom, you can do that. Okay, so those are very good news. And also, during the time, in a few weeks, she'll start again the teachings that she's doing on the weekends. So we're all looking forward for that. So as you remember, we had a small break because everybody was celebrating the Christmas around the world. And I hope you had a very good holiday. So before that, we made some kind of, I would say, introduction, okay? Introduction to the five Buddhas family. So we went through the five Buddhas and why they have emerged in our life. And I just want to remind all of us, okay, that the Buddhas, the 5 Buddhas mandala is a man-made practice, okay? It's not though that the Buddhas has formed this mandala and got into some kind of situation. No, this is not the case. There is a reason why we did that, why those gurus or lamas or Buddhas did that, and why they presented that as a practice of the 5 Buddhas family, or the 5 Buddhas Dakinis, or the 5 Buddhas Dayanis Buddhas. There are so many names to the same structure, is because it's easier for us to remember to work with diagrams. We as a human being, it's easier for us to work with symbols. It's easier for us to work with diagrams, with something that has an order, okay? And of course, the main question was always, where are we going to start, right? Where are we going to start in the mandala? Now, if you remember, we have in the middle, we have Vairocana, which is white. Then, in some of the mandalas, what I also discussed last time, the white, you see the white on the bottom, and the bottom is always east. And in the Tibetan Buddhism, we always start at east. It doesn't matter. It used to be because Lhasa was east from those who prepared this. But, you know, if you're in the west and Lhasa is, or on the north and Lhasa is on the south, so it doesn't make sense. But, you know, it just became something which was very useful. Always start with the east. But we are not always. So, because the traditional mandala goes starting with the center. Now, as I told you last time, sometimes you see the blue in the center, sometimes you see the white in the center. So sometimes you see Vairocana in the center, or sometimes you see Akshobhya in the center. So in some of the tantras, you have to do the opposite way. That's why sometimes when you do the Kora, everybody goes to this direction, you have to do the other direction. So I've decided to go in the other direction and start with in the middle and not in the east, which is on the bottom of the mandala. And we'll start with Vairocana. And the reason for that is because Vairocana actually is, if you know the 5 aggregates, I'm not sure if everybody knows what are the 5 aggregates, but the 5 aggregates basically are the 5 forms that we usually, especially in the Abhidhamma Kosha that was written in the 350, 350, was a way, again, of describing all the aggregates in the world. So it always starts with the form. Form is our body. Then it has the consciousness. Then we have the sensation. Then we have the perceptions. And then we have what we call sometimes impulses or something like that, you know, samskaras. And I think that what we are most attached to is the form, is what's called the rupa. The rupa is something that has to do with the body, okay? And Vairocana, the main aggregate that described in Vairocana is the rupa, or what we call the form. So I wanted to start with that because what will happen is that you will find out that this is going to be the hardest negative emotion or klesha, as we discussed last time, that we want to transform, not the body. We're not going to transform the body, although that can happen as well. But we are going to transform the klesha that represent the body into the most important wisdom. So I just want to make sure that we have that here. Okay. So before we dive into the actual practice, I just want to give you a brief information about Vairocana. So Vairocana actually is what we call the family Buddha. You will find out there are different families, but he calls the family Buddha, okay? The family Buddha of all the families. And what he is usually known for is the negative emotion or the klesha is ignorance. Now, when we discuss ignorance, most of us, when we say to somebody, oh, he's ignorant or I'm ignorant in this and this case, we think that it has to do with knowledge, right? I don't know something, so I have an ignorance in this specific subject if I don't know something. But that's not the case when we talk about ignorance in this case, in the Buddhism, in the Tibetan Buddhism. Ignorance has to do with the lack of understanding of emptiness, which is totally different. It's not knowing, it's not knowledge, it's not knowing. Meaning, even if I can speak about emptiness, I don't know, 3 days in a row, it doesn't mean that I know emptiness. Do you understand the difference between knowing and knowledge? This is not the same. So the ignorance basically is the ignorance of the knowledge of understanding, I would say, intellectual understanding of emptiness, and then experiencing emptiness. So as you remember, each one of the Buddhas or each one of those symbols, when we are working with this klesha, with the ignorance, with the emotion that has to do with that, what will happen is that we will transform that into wisdom. So the wisdom that it will be transformed to is wisdom that has a various name, but basically it's an awareness. It's sometimes we call it mirror-like wisdom. Now, I remember the first time that one of my teachers expressed to me the mirror-like wisdom, I was thinking about it and I said, what does it mean? Now, I'm not going to do that, but do you remember when Amalina is doing the initiation or sometimes giving teachings, what she does, she takes a mirror, she has this mirror, the two sides mirror, and then she opens this a little bit, and then she said, what do you think the mirrors see? Right? Because if this is a mirror and this is a mirror, what is the reflection? Now, if you stay a little longer in this, because do you have an answer? If you do have an answer, if you have a word to describe that, you just missed the point. There are no words to describe the mirror-like wisdom. Because what's the mirror reflects? If there is a mirror and a mirror, so what's the mirror reflects? And the sense of I would say the unability, if there is a word like that, to describe what the mirror sees. This is the first sense of emptiness. I hope you understand that because this is a very profound understanding. It's not intellectual understanding. This is some kind of experience. And I will do it again. If this is a mirror and this is a mirror, what's the mirrors are reflecting? I hope that you don't have a word for that. I really hope that you don't, because I really want you to feel the experience, okay? So what does this experience has to do with wisdom? Why does the result of this ignorance will be the mirror-like wisdom. We will be able to see that the awareness, I'll speak now in a little bit of Dzogchen terms, although it's Tantra, the awareness that reflects exactly what is, I mean, the phenomena, has no distortion. Nothing is disturbing this reflection. Now, this is a very profound teaching. But what happens on a daily basis? Okay, so I'll go down the street and maybe I'm driving down the street and there's somebody who is, I don't know, crossing me very aggressively on the road, right? What happens? If I'm being able to be in the awareness that everything is reflects exactly as it is without any disturbing, so what will happen to my feelings? We know that in the Hinayana or Mahayana, what happens, it's we try to develop some kind of a thought that, oh, try to develop some kind of compassion. Oh, think about it, that he might be in a hurry to get to his daughter, I don't know, she's hospitalized. So then you become forgiveness. You forgive this guy because you develop some kind of compassion that came with a thought, right? Or maybe this is the Mahayana. Or maybe in a Hinayana, you say, oh, anger is not good. Although this is not the Buddha of the anger, right? But in a Hinayana, if he cross your word at the road, so you will say, oh, anger is not good. I want to prevent myself from being angry. So I'm stopping anything that has to do with strong negative feelings towards this guy, okay? So this is the Hinayana approach and the Mahayana approach. But here in Tantra, it's different approach. It's not about those practices that are very practical, by the way, and can help us a lot, especially when a guy is crossing my road very fast. So how do I do that? What does it mean? What does it mean to overcome the ignorance and transform it into the mirror-like wisdom? And what we will do, it's every day, every week, we're going to take one of the Buddhas and we're going to work with the understanding of the klesha and understanding of the wisdom. Now, I don't want to do it theoretical, although you just have received a lot of theoretical issues here. I want us to dive into our daily life. So we're going to do it in two different ways. One way is that I want to lead you in a meditation that Lela afterwards will take out from the whole recording, and it will be also will be put it in the YouTube, so you will be able to rewind it again and again if you want to, or just do the meditation as much as you want. The other way is to try to understand what's happening in your life, meaning it's not just on the cushion. What I just described, the situation I described with this guy who is crossing me very aggressively on the road when I'm just trying to drive somewhere, this is a daily situation. Maybe you had it with the cashier in the supermarket, or maybe you had it with one of your, I don't know, with your spouse. Maybe you had it with one of your children. Maybe you had it with your boss. Maybe you had it with your colleague. Maybe you had it with a stupid person on the street. I'm deliberately saying stupid person on the street, because how many times you said to yourself, I hope not loud, about somebody stupid? I guess once or twice in your life, right? Okay. So if it was once or twice in your life, most probably you know that this comes very fast, right? So what will happen in our life, because if it's true that everything is a reflection, I will say, from our karma, that's what we do in Tantra, understanding that everything out there, all phenomena, has no no strong truth from their own sides. So where are they coming from, all those phenomena? The answer is always coming from our karmic winds, from our karmic seeds that are stored in our karmic channels and bodies, and sometimes called kunchi, whatever you want to name it. So if it's true, what should I do with this stupid guy? Or what should I do with this arrogant guy that just crossed me on the street? What should I do with my husband that is making me, I don't know, unhappy this morning? Can he make me unhappy? Where comes the unhappiness? Not understanding that this is the klesha, the disturbing emotions of ignorance. Do you understand? It has nothing to do with any knowledge on earth. You don't need to know what all those types of species of on the in the sea in order to be non-ignorance. Do you understand? It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with understanding how the world creates, how the worlds operate. Not how the worlds operate from Darwin point of view, which is nice as well, but from the karmic and emptiness point of view. And this is not easy. So basically, if I start with Vairocana, I start with the most difficult part of working with emotions, because it's very easy to start with anger and fear. Everybody knows what is anger and fear, right? What I'm trying to explain to you is not anger and fear. I'm trying to explain the most, I would say, uh, it's not difficult to explain to you something that cannot be explained in words, okay? I can't explain that in words. So that's why I wanted you to have this experience, okay? We already did the pen. Do you remember the pen that Geshe Michael taught me in the past? This is also a way to understand how the world works, okay? So how are we going to do it in our daily life? So let's just sit for a while in a meditation posture. You can sit on your chair. You don't need to go into lotus or anything else. We just want to sit down. Now, in Tantra, we do close our eyes. What we don't, we're not doing that on Dzogchen, as you know, we want to make it open. But when you try at the beginning, for sure, when you try to visualize something, it will be better to start or to practice that with closed eyes, okay? Not because you cannot eventually visualize whatever you want to visualize with open eyes, but it's difficult if you have an open eyes, as something is open in front of you, and you try to overlay it with your visualization. It's difficult at the beginning. So we'll start now with the closed eyes, okay? So just sit with a straight back. Close your eyes and just try to start with concentrating on the breathing. See the breathing get in, slowly goes out. You don't manipulate it. Just watch the breathing. The air goes in, the air goes out. Now try to visualize the mandala, the 5 wisdom Buddhas. Try to visualize that in front of you. They are the heart essence of all refuge. And you go for refuge to the Buddha, to the Dharma, and the Sangha that are represented by the 5 Buddhas' families. Now in the center we have Vairocana, which is white. And we want to transform ourselves into Vairocana. So imagine yourself sitting in a lotus posture. You're white. Your hand is in the mudra of the teachings. The teaching mudra is your index finger. And some kind of a will, because the Vairocana is representing the will of Dharma, the teaching of the will of Dharma. So the hands held at the chest, the thumb and the index fingers both joined and create a circle. And that represents that you, as Vairocana, has achieved the ability to teach all sentient beings, because this is the higher way to bring them into enlightenment, to teach them the Dharma. In your forehead, there is the syllable Om, white Om. In your heart is the syllable Bam. And you know now that you are able to transform all confusion, all ignorance into the encompassing wisdom, the mirror-like wisdom. Now reflect on your life. Try to see where in your life you avoid fully seeing what is happening. Maybe it's not going to be very easy to see that or to acknowledge that. Sometimes we see things and we want to suppress them. We want to see this to suppress the feeling that we have towards that. Sometimes we want to ignore that. Sometimes we think if we will postpone any reaction, it will disappear. Can I find a place in my life when I'm not fully seeing what is happening or what is the situation. Try to find a situation in your life that you can see that you have been ignored or fully avoided what is happening. Try to bring it into your feelings now. Try to see how you feel about that. Maybe when you bring this situation, you feel fear or maybe shame, or maybe it brings you anger. Away from that. You don't want to think about it. Why do you want to run away? Why do you want to suppress that? Are you afraid of the consequences? Maybe if you will stop avoiding seeing in fully what is happening, your life will change. Maybe it's the fear of the change. If you have found a situation and you're fully immersed with that, try to see what you feel in your body. Where in your body is the feeling of that? Maybe it's in the head, or the throat, or the heart, or the chest, the stomach, the legs, the hands. Where is it? Are you familiar with this feeling, with those sensations? So when we do look at this situation, what happens when I simply allow myself to experience, to reflect the experience itself without any comment, without any commentary on that? Just sit there, watch the situation, feel in the body the sensations, and don't give them any interpretation, no commentary on that. Just sit with that. Understand that on my cushion now, and I want to take it into my life. So how can I embody that in my everyday life, in my every minute? Maybe sometimes I want to give the situation a chance to reveal themselves instead of trying to categorizing them into some kind of labeling. What do I need to do in order to do that? Maybe I need to postpone my reaction. allow the clarity to emerge naturally without trying to do anything in order to clarify that. I want to take it into my life. Does it mean that I have to react different than I used to do it, the day before? So go back now into your body as Vairocana, sitting in the lotus posture, white. Try to see the white light within your whole body. The white energy, it's just moving within your body. And the environment dissolving to you. And your Vairocana dissolve into the seed syllable in your heart, the bum. You can see it in English, bum. And this seed syllable is just dissolving. And you just sit there in open awareness. This open, radiant, unfabricated presence. Just stay there. Feel that you can no longer stay in this open awareness. Just emerge again as Vairocana, the white Vairocana, and dedicate the merit of this practice. May all beings, without one exception, be liberated. Okay. So I hope that this Vairocana is now more familiar to you, because I guess that I hope that you find one situation in your life that you just don't like to see what's going on there, and you just ignore it or suppress or run away or whatever. Let's bring us the situation of what does it mean? The phrase in Dzogchen, you say samsara and nirvana are the same. It's that, what is it there? What's the mirror is reflecting? It's a reflection, okay? It's a reflection of my mind. What is the phenomena around me? So I hope I didn't confuse you too much, dive into hardcore emptiness right away. But in case we'll die tomorrow, I was thinking that it will be better to start the new year or the new life or the new manifestation in your next life if you'll die tomorrow, if we will die tomorrow, in fully embodied emptiness. This is because this is so important. So we still have a few more minutes. If somebody wants to share or ask a question, this is the right time. You know what? Before that, I still want to say something. I guess that most of you have had a Tantra empowerment, right? So you had a tantric empowerment, So you know that you have received vows. If you don't know what are the tantric vows, you can approach Lela or Edith and ask them. There is a specific teaching, but you have to have an empowerment for our entire Yoga Tantra or Yoga Tantra. So you can have, there is a lot, there is a full teaching on that, but it's not open on YouTube. You have to request that and to say, yes, I did received an empowerment, so I can receive the teaching on the tantric vows. What I want to say that we have discussed the 14 root vows, that 14 tantric root vows. We didn't get into the other tantric vows. For example, there are, I think, 64. I don't remember exactly the number, but around 64 vows that has to do with the 5 Buddha's families. Did you know that? What are the vows for? I want to remind you, those of you that already saw those teachings or participated in these teachings or not, the vows are actually some kind of advises how to practice on your daily life, because you are supposed to think about the vows. It's not that somebody's going to punish you. Nobody's going to punish you if you're going to break the vow. Okay? It's only between you and you. So, what are the vows for the Vairocana? I'll give you some of them because actually, if those are the practices that you are supposed to practice in order to overcome the ignorance, you might think, how those vows will help me to overcome the ignorance and to develop the mirror-like wisdom? Let's see. Okay, that's very interesting, okay? Do not abandon the view of primordial purity and non-duality. Now, how many times a day, how many times within an hour do you abandon the view of primordial purity and non-duality? I don't know about you. Within an hour, I do it 360 times. 360 times. How many times do you do that? And the reason is this vow is brought up to us by the Buddhas in order for us to remember that again and again. So if you have a tantric vows, and I'm not going to go over all those tantric vows now because this is not the time for that. But just as a reminder, why we have received those practices. Remember, the vows, just forget about the word vow, okay? Those are practices that has been given to us in order to overcome something that we have in our tendency, in our patterns, in our mind patterns. So if I have a tendency to see the world in a dual way, which means I'm here and the world is there. I'm here and he is there. I'm here and she is there. So it's me and her, me and him, me and the world. So if I'm practicing Vairocana, for example, and that's what I'm asking you to do for the whole week, to practice Vairocana, okay? So what will happen is I have to remind myself again and again and again to see the world in non-dual way. What does it mean? The world is a reflection of my mind. Remember, this is a mirror, this is a mirror. What's the mirror reflects? The world is a reflection of my mind. So if there is something there that I avoid from seeing, fully understanding, not understanding knowledge-wise, right? A situation in my life that I am ignoring. What am I doing? I'm taking part of my whole and I'm just squeezing that. And here comes the practice and says, uh-oh, don't do that. Okay, I'll give you another one, okay? Never abandon the view that all phenomena are primordially pure. If all phenomena are primordially pure, what is happening right now, even if this is something which I don't like at all, like, for example, a war, like, for example, I will not take a war that's just happening now. Let's go to 1960 to the invasion of the Chinese into Tibet. Have you heard His Holiness saying that for the Buddhism, it was the bad thing ever? But how many people has been killed for that? Primordially pure doesn't mean lovey-dovey, doesn't mean nicey-nicey. No, we don't see that right away. I'll give you another one. There are six, by the way. Not all the family has six, but this one has six. I'll give you another one. Maintain confidence in emptiness, inseparable from luminosity. Now, in order to understand this, you have to understand emptiness. And you have to understand luminosity, right? This is a mirror. This is a mirror. What's the mirror is reflecting? I hope you don't find a word for that again, okay? Well, I was brought up, as you can say that, in the Gaelic tradition, which we have been spending, I don't know, years on studying emptiness. Years. This tradition and this tradition and this one and this one and all those debates that we did on the debate ground. In the end of the day, it's an experience. It doesn't mean understanding. When you look in your life at a situation and you understand that this is a reflection of your mind, and you have this glimpse of understanding that this is a reflection of your mind, you have been experienced emptiness. Glimpse. It doesn't have to take an hour. Glimpse. So what I want you to do this week, this is your homework for this week. This is a very practical course. It's not going to be just intellectual course, okay? So try to do this meditation that I gave you today again and again, okay? You don't have to listen to that again. It will be on the YouTube, but you don't need to listen. Just go and do that. Don't forget to go for refuge and do bodhicitta because this will fertilize the meditation, okay? And then dive into it. But be Vairocana when you do that. Don't be Loppon Dorit. Actually, it's not Loppon Dorit, it's Dorit. Because Loppon is also some kind of a tag, okay? So don't be yourself. Be Vairocana. Be the Buddha. You already have the mirror-like wisdom. Don't forget that. It's in your nature. It's embedded in your nature. From within this situation, do the meditation. You can do it 5 minutes. You can do it 10 minutes. You can do it 20 minutes. You can do it twice a day. You can do it once a day. But do it. And also what I want you to do is to buy yourself a very, very nice notebook and write down 1 line, 2 lines after each meditation And on the same day, if you are reflecting something that happens in your life, write down. If you don't like notebooks, so just open a note in your cell phone, okay? And write down. The mindfulness of recognizing and writing it down will create the change. It will not create the change. It will be like a dream. If you'll have a glimpse and you'll move on without writing it down, the following day will forget that. It's, if not the following day, maybe in 2 days. It's like a dream. If you don't write the dream, if you don't do anything with the dream, you forget it, right? Everybody who practiced dream yoga knows that. You have to do something in order to remember that. So please do something in order to remember that. Myself, I like notebooks. I have hundreds of notebooks. I never open them again, but I like to write it, and then it's in my mind. So do that, okay? Or do it on your iPhone or, I mean, cell phone with the notes. But please do something about it, okay? Good. So now we open to the question. Oh, Joanna, I'll see you raised your hand.
In looking at things that we're ignoring, I realized that I have blind spots. Like I can feel that I have an unusual reaction with people, and I don't understand what I'm doing to do that. Do you have any advice for helping dig up where we're ignoring but not aware of it? I don't know if I'm doing
I
this.
don't understand. I don't understand the situation that you're describing. It was too
Well,
vague.
so it's a feeling that I am ignoring, and I have done for a long time. I feel like, and I'm not quite sure exactly how to approach it. Any, do you know what blind spots are? What
Yes,
they
I know
call
what
blind spots?
lines are that.
Yeah.
Yes, but
So,
I don't understand. I mean, you're talking about ignoring, and we're talking about ignorance. It's not the same thing, right? So when you're saying you're ignoring
okay.
a situation or you're ignoring a person, where are you?
Well, that maybe I'm getting this wrong. Ignoring, there's something there that I can't articulate it. Maybe that's the problem. That and how do I hold on to that one to do this meditation? That's my question was.
Mm.
But
I think that what you're describing, or the fact that I cannot understand what you're describing, is that it's not has been yet evolved into words.
yeah.
So do the meditation. Try to write down whatever comes up in your mind after the meditation, okay? Try to write down. Don't try to comment on that. Don't try to write interpretation or commentary on that. Just, a description. Like, for example, I don't know, I'm thinking about what happened, let's say this today in my clinic, somebody said that they found out a blind spot they had about the fact that their spouse, I don't want to say he or she, their spouse, uh, always find a way to laugh on them. Okay, it's a cynical laugh, some kind
Mhm.
of inside jokes within the family with the children and stuff like that. And for years, they were just tolerating that. Okay, so that
Yeah.
was a very important understanding for this person, because why they didn't say anything in order to stop that at the beginning when it started. Okay,
Mhm.
what was, and then comes again the question that I asked you in the meditation: what was the fear of seeing that, confronting that, doing something with that? Okay. And I'm sure that everybody here has some kind of a blind spot. You can call it blind spot. You can call what we are avoiding from seeing it the way it is. So it's not the interpretation, it's the description. I was avoiding seeing that my husband and my children are that was not the case in my clinic, but for example, I was avoiding seeing that my husband and my children are always finding a cynical humor, and it's not, I don't feel good when they do that. Okay? So it has to do with the description and how do I feel about that. Okay? And then
Thank
comes
you.
the next step, which is, what am I afraid of? Why I'm not doing anything about the situation, which is another step. Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
Jana.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Very good.
So everybody, I think that if you will write down it, you will benefit a lot from that. Okay. Ines.
Hi, Loppon Dorit. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
This is my first question in all the classes that I've been taking with you. So, and I had this question since a long time. So, I often hear you saying all phenomena are a reflection of my mind, or everything is a project of my mind. Can you please explain, in other words, what does it mean exactly? And I get confused because whenever I hear this, I think that okay, everything is a reflection of my mind. It means that there are no other mind stream out there. So everything is only my mind and other minds do not exist. So there is a lot of, it's a philosophical maybe confusion, but if you can explain what do you really exactly mean by that? Thank you.
Okay. So again, it leads us into a very heavy class about emptiness, which I'm not going to do now, but I'll give you a short answer for that, okay?
Thanks.
As I said, years on the debate ground of learning all the philosophical part of emptiness. But I'll go again for the pen, for my first teacher, Geshe Michael Roach. So what is this? Ines, answer me. What is this?
A pen.
Okay. And if a dog comes in, and I'll wave that, what he thinks is it?
Um, Something that the dog play with.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
something to chew, a play, a toy? Okay.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So is it a pen or is it a toy?
It depends
On what?
on the perceiver, on who
If it
perceives.
depends, yeah. So if it depends on the perceiver, so this is what we just thought a minute ago that is a pen, it's a reflection of the mind of the perceiver, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the answer to your question.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the answer to your question. So now we know that it's not a pen from its own side because it depends on the perceiver, on the reflection of the perceiver, right?
Yeah.
The same way, all phenomena, this is a phenomena. I just gave you an example with the pen. All phenomena are reflections of the perceiver. You are the perceiver, right? Have you ever had a situation where you saw something and you said, oh, he said that and he's like that and he's like that, and your best friend or maybe, I don't know, your colleague in work said, no, it's not like that. That's what was that and that and that something, and they describe something else.
Mm.
What was the difference? It's a pen or a toy. The phenomena, the all phenomena are a reflection of our mind, of our perception, of the way we perceive the world. And the way we perceive the world is a reflection of our karma, of our karmic wins. That's why if you go to, I'll give you the most extreme one, okay? That's why if you will go, I don't know, actually, I don't know if it will be the case, but I'll give the example. If you will go to a sadomaso club, okay? And you will see people who are loving to be heated. And you see people who love to hit people. You will perceive something else, right? But those who like to be heated or beaten by somebody else, they like it. Their perception of the world is different than yours. So is it wrong, or is it okay, or is it wrong to be a sadomaso?
It's neither right or wrong. It
It
depends.
depends on the perceiver, right?
Mm.
So what's the difference between that and the fact that, I don't know, your boss is really stupid? You think he's stupid. Somebody else think he's so smart that gave him a promotion to be your boss. So is he stupid or smart?
Mm.
When you start to see the world the way I just described, there is no truth. And that's confusing. Yes, I know. It's confusing.
Loppon Dorit, may I jump here just to give you an example? For example, we all agree when we witness anger, it's clear for us that it's anger. For example, somebody shouting, the mimic of his face are really like different from his or her normal face. They have like kind of fire energy all around. So that is clear that is anger. So how can the
To
person,
whom?
yeah,
When I went to
human
Africa,
beings.
when I went to Africa and I saw all those dances there, the tribes dances there, they were mimicking a lot of and all those mimics. Do you think they were angry?
Okay, thanks.
Mm.
Merci. Thank you.
Again, it's all in the eye of the perceiver. And if you start to work around the world, trying to understand that, then maybe we'll less argue with other people about being right, because there is no right or wrong.
Mm.
And then we will become Vairocana.
Thank you.
At
Okay.
least one symbol, one skull cap on my scalp, okay? On my head. At least one, okay? At least one, okay?
Thank you.
I know it's not easy, and I'm practicing that for 20 years. And I can tell you for sure, although I practice all those vows again and again and again and again, I can promise you that I break those vows 100 times a day. Because to make the transformation of the mind, it's not easy, but we have to start somewhere. Okay? That's why I don't call it breaking the vows, because if I will call it breaking the vows, I will think that I don't know, something wrong with me. Oopsie, like Lamalina likes to say, oops. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Rue. Wow, what's the name? Very interesting name. Rue? This is the name?
Hello. Okay, it's a romanization. It's Rüzgar, but most people can't pronounce that often, so it's kind of a
Okay.
nickname, I think.
Okay. Hi, Rue. Nice to
Hello.
meet you.
You too. Thank you very much. Uh, I had two questions on the beginning section that you described. First of all, you described that the mandala was kind of sort of a tool and invention at the same time. I have not heard this view previously. Do you have any resources for that, like historical accounts or anything? Because I
Yeah,
don't
I
actually know
think
this
that I
view.
already did it on my first class. Did you see my first class?
Which one was it?
For working with emotion, the first class.
Oh, yes, yes, I did.
So there are description of the history and description of different word of mandala, and you can see it. It is man-made. It's nothing that was, given by the Buddhas. I mean, the Buddhas gave us the man-made in order for us to understand it. Basically, it's Padmasambhava who gave the mandala. But if you go there to the class, you will see it. I think I elaborated on that in some point. And what is your second question?
Okay, that makes sense. For the kind of what they call the descriptions of the two perspectives. You described Darwin's perspective and the karmic perspective. In your view, are these like parallel, or are these contradictory, or are they just different interpretations of the same thing, or what do you view them as? Just these examples of two different perspectives. Okay.
You see, this is so practical. I just have to show you the pen and you know exactly what I mean now, right? Isn't it amazing? You should thank
Yeah.
Geshe Michael for that, you know.
Awesome.
It's just amazing. This is exactly what we were meaning by Vairocana mirror-like wisdom. Is there we are so caught in trying to find the truth, the ultimate truth, which is the only truth. Is there something like that in the world? The anger people, the Darwin? You know, if you'll go to, I don't know, Catholic or Judaist or I don't know, Christian, they have their own interpretation about how the world has been created. Who is right? Who is wrong? Why do we have wars on that? Who is right and who is wrong? Go to 1500. You see the Protestant and Catholic in England. I just saw a movie about that last night. Protestant and Catholic are fighting each other, you know, a criticism about that. I mean, about the belief system. You know, in the end of the day, we have to release all belief systems, but it takes time. So remember the pen. Just, you know, for good night story, I will give you the second part of the pen, okay? So where is Ines? Ines, open your, unmute yourself.
Yes.
Let's continue for a while, okay? So we already agreed that it's on the eyes of the beholder, of the perceiver, right? Right. So now, if in my room there are 100 dogs and one person, what is this? 100 dogs and one person. What is it?
It depends on the perceiver, whether it's a dog or a person.
Did you see how you just killed the democracy? Who
Yeah.
is right? Yeah.
That's right.
So I'll give you another part. Okay, let's go to the third part of that. So the majority is not right, right? We
Mhm.
just acknowledge that.
Mm.
So we'll go to the third part. So if I'll put it here, and all the dogs goes out from the room, and all people go out from the room, what is it?
There is no observer.
If there is no observer, so you just sense emptiness. No words to describe that. If there is no perceiver,
Mm.
how can you describe something when there is no perceiver who can describe that? That's called the emptiness of the pen, the emptiness of all phenomena. Let's dedicate a class.
Thank you.
Gewadi nyurdodam chechi salam gopashok. May all living beings be happy and find their true nature, the Buddha nature. I hope you're going to have a very, very good new year. I hope you're going to start the new year with deep understanding of emptiness, because this is the key.